every story has a happy ever after. And after this story, there's an after party.
The kind of intense editing that I normally do where I like edit a lot of sound stuff, but you know what? Lately it's been kind of amusing.
What, in the most recent episode or the most recent couple or
The two most recent episodes. I don't feel as bad for leaving some stuff in because I feel like it's good quality background content. Plus, I mean, like, not Dennis, like, he should just be a reoccurring character. He's our
like,
Smarf.
What was it? The neighbor in Home Improvement?
Oh my god. Ned? No, that's Simpsons.
Dennis is going to hear this and be, like, yelling in his car because he listens to the episodes and he's back to work this week.
Uh-huh.
So, he's going to be like, it's so-and-so. It's so-and-so. I'm not going to Google it, Dennis. You're just going to have to yell.
But he's been, like, the face of social distancing, and that sort of makes me happy.
Yeah. He's just here. I mean, he's not here now. He's at work. But I'm now paranoid and sitting in my living room because maintenance had to stop by again yesterday.
Oh, fuck.
So, I'm paranoid. So I'm sitting in the living room staring at the doorway.
Mm-hmm.
Waiting.
Well, until then, I'm Sam Logsden.
I'm Amanda Pierce.
And as a gentle reminder, we are still donating all proceeds that we get from this show this month to Sisters PGH, a trans-led organization that helps trans and non-binary folks, especially those of color, find permanent housing in Pittsburgh. Really good cause. I'll still post a link to their website if you want to donate to them directly to bypass our bullshit. But, yeah. I always just like throwing that out there because it's a good month for that to happen.
Throw it.
And speaking of excellent timing, this is yet another father-centric episode in time for Father's Day. Yay! I had to get a tissue again.
You did?
I did. Not for the whole thing, but just for like the one scene.
The scene near the end with him?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, can I say it?
Yeah,
I want to say something really quick. August is Pinocchio. He's Pinocchio, Pinocchio, Pinocchio. Wooden boy, Pinocchio, Pinocchio, Pinocchio. We've been hinting at it for weeks. We've not been able to say it for weeks. He is Pinocchio, Pinocchio.
Feel better?
Pinocchio. He is Pinocchio.
And it's great because we also can do a very brief recap of the missing episode, like not go into every little detail, but we've already talked about how Archie is Jiminy Cricket.
Yeah, and a Christ allegory.
Yes. So
yeah, you missed that.
We really need to undig that episode because I don't feel like getting into it right now. You're just gonna have to take our word for it, or just watch the still voice within. Huh?
I'm not explaining it again.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that. We ain't got time for that. We have feels to talk about. We have reels to talk about. This is probably his best performance in the show.
Yeah,
hands
I really
down.
enjoyed it. Mm-hmm.
I think when you have watched Once Upon a Time already and you're re-watching his acting from the beginning, it's a lot less swarmy and a lot more tolerable.
Yeah.
Like when you kind of know, first of all, the fact that you know he's swarmy and lying from the beginning, if you didn't know he was Pinocchio before, re-watching it does make it a lot funnier.
He's Pinocchio.
Yeah. He's
and also
and kind of a daddy.
And also, that scene of him and Emma in the woods was probably her best acting.
Yeah, because she delivers, I think, her best line, which we will get to. It's like peak Emma. This is the Emma that we have all been waiting for. Not the town, us as viewers of the show.
Yeah, can I say something really quick, though, that was kind of funny?
Yeah.
When I shouted Pinocchio, my cat was cleaning himself, and when I shouted Pinocchio, he just stopped and looked at me with his tongue out, and it was pretty great. And it was Ramirez, not the fat one.
Well, I'm kind of surprised that we're not talking about Xenu and Puck because both of
Mhm.
our boys are little ginger cats.
Oh my god, that's like my only comment that I wrote on this episode is when the fairy changed him into the real boy. I'm like, you bitch, you turned him into a ginger.
He didn't have a regular body and now he doesn't have a soul.
Nope.
No, I didn't mind the kid. I thought he was a fine actor. I think they did go out of their way to cast the most pathetic looking ginger kid I've seen in a while. But I don't
Yeah,
like being mean to kid actors. I don't.
I as a
But
28-year-old woman would bully him. That's how pathetic he looks.
yeah. Um he just looks so sad, but I thought he did a fine job.
Uh,
He
eh.
he does a very good post whale Pinocchio. I think he
Mhm.
would make a terrible pre-whale Pinocchio.
Yeah, and they have the reference to the Pleasure Island too, which I thought was cool.
Mm-hmm.
I forget the Italian name for it, and I'm not gonna say it because
Yeah.
I'd probably mispronounce it.
I feel so bad that that's the episode, a still small voice. I
Mhm.
feel bad that I lost. Well, I don't. Here's the thing, folks. Editing videos or podcasts is actually really easy when time makes sense.
Yeah.
If you have an hour-long conversation where 5-second snippets of it are all of a sudden um, temporary deleted, found, and then rearranged out of order,
Mhm.
it's going to take you a while to put that puzzle together. So a lot of this, you're just going to either have to trust us or watch the episode yourself and come to your own conclusions.
It got
But
Regina'd.
it did get Regina'd hard. Can I
Yeah.
blame Regina for that?
No, because Lana Prilla is the best.
Lana Parrilla is the best, but, Regina, her morality tally chart is still in play here.
I feel bad for her still.
Not Lana Parrilla. She's doing
No,
fine.
I'm sure she's doing great, but
Mhm.
Regina, I still feel bad for her. She's too
Yeah.
likable to be a villain.
Here's the other thing, too. When we had this discussion about a still small voice,
Mhm.
that was the first episode where our main criticism of the show of the Henry plot is really fucked up if you're
Mhm.
just looking at it from the real world perspective and not without any of the context of what happened in the fantasy world.
Without knowing he's not crazy.
Without knowing who Regina is or
Mhm.
what happened to the town, all of this stuff about Henry needs to get away from Regina and biological family is more important,
Mhm.
all that stuff is really insidious. And
Yeah.
A Still Small Voice was the first episode where that kind of changed a little bit, where we had oh, okay, there's actually a marriage between the worlds and the context makes more sense. Now that in mind, this is probably the first episode in a long time where I suddenly found myself going, oh crap, this is starting to sound really insidious again.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, congratulations. It's maybe 12 episodes where I didn't have that thought, but
Mhm.
it's starting to come back. And I think that was probably the biggest downfall of the episode because there's a lot of cool things in it,
Mhm.
but then it's it's not even overanalyzing it. I think some people think that when you nitpick shows like this, it's overanalyzing it and you're thinking about it too hard. But it really isn't. It's just
Yeah.
thinking.
Yeah, it's a lot of people argue that you should shut your brain off. I am not a person who likes shutting my brain off all that often. So,
Even when you do, you can always take it with a grain of salt.
and the other thing is the people who made this show I don't want to harp on this too hard. The people who made this show also helped make Lost, which, whatever you say about the ending, I'm still only on season 1, is generally a pretty well written show right now. it's plotted, it's pretty intricate, all the characters are pretty realized, which I think makes it hard to not want the same thing from this show.
Yeah, I think that I'm going to be bitching about this a lot more once we reach season 2. I think the show's strongest suits is the fact that it has the Disney name and Disney characters up for licensing, and the way that they can make characters interact with each other is really creative.
Yeah.
And sometimes that Disney family name brand is like a double-edged sword. So you have like all this really good creativity, like with and we'll I mean, like, I might talk about the plot or I might just talk about the ramifications. I think talking about the ramifications of this episode without talking about the plot is a lot more fun. And there's a lot more to work with. Because
we can kind of breeze over the plot.
Yeah.
It's another one that we're kind of hurtling toward the end of this season.
Yeah.
So
and we're using flashbacks.
Stuff is getting wrapped up. Stuff is getting kind of explained. You're kind of seeing the final setup for where they're going to land the end of the season.
So if you remember all the way back at the beginning, there's the meeting that all these fairy tale characters have before the curse hits the Enchanted Forest. And Emma is sent through the wardrobe into the real world. The tree portal. What we don't know is that Pinocchio was also sent through there. And
because they said it could only take one, but it can take two.
At the beginning, the Blue Fairy lied about that. Because originally it was going to be Pinocchio and Snow White. But if you remember what happened at the beginning of the episode, Emma just couldn't wait to escape the womb. And it had to be the baby and another person to look after her.
Yeah.
And because Geppetto is also a father who really wants his child to be safe in the new world, especially since he lives and is a real boy from magic.
Yeah.
He kind of needs to have a little bit of magic in him still to keep that up. Otherwise, he's going to be an inanimate wooden puppet.
The bigger thing is he has no idea what's going to happen to him.
No, but it's a strong bet.
Yeah.
So,
no, it's a strong bet that he's not going to survive.
Yeah, it's like betting on the wardrobe was better than him just succumbing to the curse.
Yeah.
Like that was pretty like from that perspective, even not knowing what would happen, I totally get that line of logic.
Yeah.
So, Pinocchio is basically the one who found Emma, and they do end up getting fostered together, but because, again, fostering and adopting children is inferior to having biological families.
Evil. The foster father is evil.
And real quick, I have to say, like, that actor has such an unfortunate face. I felt so bad for him.
The foster father?
Yeah.
I didn't even see, because honestly, I was doing my makeup toward the end of this episode.
I was paying attention on and off for, like, parts of it, but I caught it this time. Like, he had this, like, he just has, like, a resting bitch face. And, like, a resting scolding face.
As
like,
someone with a
I don't
resting
think he was
bitch
even
face,
acting.
I empathize.
I think they just had him read a line. That was it. Like, he was just like, it doesn't matter. Just, like, go over there, tell the kid to stop playing with the tools, and, like, look at him the way you're looking at me now.
Stop playing with your tools in front of the baby.
Yeah. So, because step parents and fostering is evil, Pinocchio / August leaves Emma behind. And
I really wish that whenever they do these references to adoptive parents, it makes me really wish my uncle was still alive, so we could like do a very special episode or even like a Dreadful Pennies on fostering.
Oh my god. We should totally do that.
He fostered, well, he's passed now.
But I mean, like, we should still, like, reach out to people and do, like a Wicked Step Parents episode. I would totally.
I guess I could talk to my aunt. His wife is still alive. But they have fostered and adopted many, 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 many children. I don't even know a number. But
I've met people like that. The woman I know unfortunately passed away, but she lived next to my grandparents for a long time.
Hmm.
And her husband, like, they just ran a foster home,
Yeah. And
like, basically their whole lives. Like,
they have one biological son. The rest of their kids are either adopted or fostered. And
yeah, I
but
mean, like,
they actually
it was awesome.
specialized. They actually specialized, that's kind of air quotes specialized,
Mhm.
in teenage problem children. And
Yeah,
once again, problem with bunny quotes.
yeah,
Um,
it's such a sad thing because, like, they are the people who are less likely to be adopted.
mhm.
And a lot of times the people who do adopt them aren't, like, I don't want to say specialized either, but you do kind of have to know what you're getting into when you
It takes
adopt.
a special level of maturity and empathy, I think, is kind of what
Yeah.
my uncle talked to me about, or what he displayed to me whenever I did talk to him about it. And
Yeah.
essentially, he said, yes, some of them are now drug addicts or, have gone to the wayside and are living a difficult life. And he said, but they'll still call me, and they still call me dad. And,
Hmm.
they know if they ever need help that I will help them get it.
Yeah.
And I'm there for them, and it's important to just listen. So, like, this portrayal of foster parenting
Hmm.
kind of hits a little bit close to home because my uncle was a very loving person and he gave his life to try to help a lot of children out.
Yeah. And there's people who've adopted in my family. There's this is really funny. I have a cousin Bill who um when they got the paperwork finalized for him to come home, like,
Hmm.
while that was being processed, my aunt found out that she was pregnant. So they had two children almost at the same time, even though there
They
was
got
like
a
a
twofer.
slight age difference. Because I think he was only like 1 or 2 when he was adopted.
No, they
But
got a
like
two for one special.
they did. Um, Although that's not as bad as the dentist I used to work for, who adopted one girl from China. His wife got pregnant with triplets, and then they adopted another person from China because, and I'm trying to remember exactly how he phrased it. Um, he basically said, like, if we have triplets and twins, it would just make more sense.
In for a
And like
penny, in for a
twins
pound.
again is like in air quotes, but
Yeah.
it's just like it sucks to have like 3 kids kind of go through the same experience and then just have like one kid who's adopted and feels like kind of alone
Hmm.
and also isn't being raised by people who are Chinese. So having
Hmm.
another sibling kind of helped balance it out.
Yeah, I could see how that would feel like, oh, I'm your
I'm
like
your
if
token
like when
kid.
you're the accident kid.
Yeah, but the triplets were actually the accident kids.
Be like, listen, you little pieces of shit. We picked him or her. We got
uh,
stuck with you three.
oh, this is even better. All of them are girls except one of the triplets.
Oh God.
There's one boy.
Oh no.
I know. It's just like, and like being non-binary, that's one of those things that like it typically doesn't really like stand out to me, but that's a family that cares about shit like that.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're raised in a family where like gender norms are still very much a thing, it's like,
Yeah.
oh no.
Well,
we
it's
we have
still
to make a big deal out of this.
even with gender norms, there's still biological things you go
Yeah.
through,
Hmm.
like puberty, that like would make it weird to be like the only boy in the house. I wouldn't like that.
Yeah. I feel
But
like if it was like reversed and there was only one girl, that would also be really weird.
I feel like it
Then
would be
like
weirder to be the only girl.
I think it definitely would because like one like your body at some point will just not cooperate with you
Mhm.
and you need empathy to handle that.
Mhm.
You really do. It'd be even weird. Okay, this is what would be weird. If he was adopted and the only boy.
Yeah.
He's super weird. Like
Yeah.
weird isn't like how he would feel growing up.
Mhm. I don't know the
So
feeling because I'm surrounded by siblings.
so folks, like look into adoption and fostering. having a biological child might be awesome, but it's a legitimate choice. And it's also not a shitty secondary option. And that's as much as I'll say on the matter.
And also, I would say also, if you want to look into adoption or fostering, I would recommend seeing a mental health professional beforehand and seeking their opinion on it would kind of be my feeling. Because a lot of kids coming from adoption fostering scenarios, a lot of them have had less than optimal upbringings, or, even in utero.
I was going to say that that's a big thing too, because I've known somebody who's needed a lot of therapy with their child, and they were in the room when he was born.
Yeah, I would say there could be some developmental issues.
Developmental, and also just like, even if you're like, they were upfront with him about being adopted. Like, they did not pussyfoot around that at all. And like, he's still like kind of went through a lot with that.
Yeah.
Like, even though it was normal, like at some point he did sort of, I don't want to say like a breaking point, but he did have like a really deep struggle eventually, where it's like, oh, this is normal. This is normal. This is normal. No, this isn't normal.
Yeah.
Like, it was really hard. And he went through that when he was like 4 or 5.
It takes a lot of empathy, and it takes a lot of good, strong parenting. Not aggressive parenting, but like just good parenting techniques to kind of overcome some of the issues that can spring up. So I just recommend it.
Yeah. Like, when this is literally everything that goes through my head when we have an episode like this that portrays fostering and adopting as evil, and why I really feel like we kind of support Regina in a lot of things, especially when the episode ends with potential kidnapping. Are we ready to talk about that yet?
So let's talk about Pinocchio first. Let's get through him really quick.
Okay. So August basically knew, just like everybody else from Storybrooke, from that world, when Emma arrived at 8:15 when Henry took her there. He knew
that's one of the lost numbers. Sorry. That's one of the lost numbers.
No, the first episode.
No, 8:15 was one of the lost numbers. It was the number of the flight. Sorry.
Oh, please don't say it like that, because that's going to confuse me. Because we have a lost episode, and I don't know any of the show Lost episodes.
It's one of the numbers from the TV show Lost. It was the number of their flight. And also there's a cameo of a plane.
Fuck you, that's not a cameo.
It's the same airline as in Lost.
Okay, so...
Sorry.
I'm going to continue to not care, and I swear it's not like the edgelord in me refusing to watch Lost, because I probably will at some point. It's just, I don't really want to right now.
It's a fine show.
It's
fine.
It's fine.
I'm fine.
Everything's fine.
This is fine.
Shit, so he knew that Emma arrived to Storybrooke while he was over in Phuket. And in the episode we reviewed before, he mentioned that he is dying. And we start to see exactly what it is that's killing him. His body is turning back into wood very slowly.
Yep.
And in an effort to convince Emma that the curse is real, he takes her out of Storybrooke over to where she was found as a baby. Not like where she thinks she was found, but where they actually got transported.
The other side of the tree.
The other side of the tree. And she is furious because he basically enticed her to go, because in an effort to get full custody of Henry, she's trying to legally battle Regina. And he's like, well, in order to do that, you need to know how to defeat Regina. So from her perspective, he's thinking he can actually either like get dirt on her, or like give her a legitimate resource for her to get her son back, and he's talking about where she was found. And in an effort to be like, hey, all of the story book things that Henry's reading is real, he tries to show her his leg, and she does not see it. I think the way that he puts it is like, your denial is so strong, it's preventing you from seeing the truth.
Yep.
Which I think is a very good statement to make regarding current issues, and I'm just going to leave it at that without getting into it.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, for those of you who are listening to the show, that probably doesn't apply to you, but that certainly applies to a couple of your racist uncles.
Yep. You're
Now,
woke if you listen to this. I give you a woke card.
you're not woke, you have like one cup of coffee in you.
Oh, God.
Like, I'm sorry, we're both white. You can't call yourself woke from listening to us. And that's not me being
that's true.
facetious either. That's me being dead serious. Aside from the fact that I hate the term woke.
Yeah, me too.
If you're trying to like there's people who make much better content than us out there who aren't white.
Oh, okay.
We just get a pass for being woke because both of us are queer. That's it. That's the one thing that you get from us. And like, I don't know, we're like female people with opinions. That's it. That's all you get from
straight.
us. But this culminates in them having this argument in the forest about, the pressure for Emma to believe in the curse and her role in it.
Mm-hmm.
And after realizing that she needs to be needed from people.
Yeah.
I can't quite remember all of the dialogue leading up to this quote, but she does not want to be the Messiah.
Mm-hmm.
And August is really forcing this on her. And, she's like, you really think that I am the town's last hope? And he's like, yes, because, the town legit needs her and he is dying, losing full consciousness of who he is as a person.
And then she basically says, you're all fucked.
Well,
screwed.
It's ABC. So she's like, the town really needs me. I'm your last hope. Well, then you're all screwed.
Yeah.
But she doesn't say it like that. Like, she's like sobbing. It's a really good performance.
Mm-hmm.
It's the most empathetic take on her character that I've seen. And I do like the fact that a Disney-owned production is calling bullshit on its own Messiah complex it puts on characters.
Yeah.
Regardless if it follows through on it or not.
And I feel...
And there's also the way the episode ends.
I feel like there is a very empathetic part of that where I think everyone has felt like they have been given more than they can handle. And she basically says, I'm barely handling trying to be a mom right now.
Yeah.
And now you're telling me I have to save everyone.
Yeah, she's like, I think August was like, you didn't want Henry.
And now you do.
And now you do. And she's like, well, he's all that I can handle.
Yeah.
That's it. And I mean,
Henry's a lot.
It's refreshing because, like, up until she says that out loud, she really is trying to put on the front of Tiger Mom when she's not really earned that title. And has also spoken very badly on Regina being a parent, even though she's been there for every fever and she's changed every diaper.
Mm-hmm.
And this is like the first time she takes the mask off and is venting. And it's so real because I think I've experienced that with so many mothers, including people in my family.
Mm-hmm. Not even just mothers, just life. It's like, people. I'm already dealing with I'm barely surviving with what I've been handed, and now life is just going to take another dump on me or ask another thing from me.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't handle this other thing that life is asking me to do.
Another thing that we can apply to current situations.
Yes.
God, this was a terrible decision to watch this episode.
Yeah. I think it was a terrible decision to watch the show, but
Yeah.
in for a penny, in for a pound, I guess.
In for a
I'm
dreadful
committed.
penny, in for 2 pounds.
That's my 2 cents.
So we need to talk about the scene that made us kind of tear up the first time we watched it.
Yeah, it was sweet.
It was very sweet.
Because
Geppetto is still in town.
Yeah, Geppetto's in town. But before he puts when he puts Pinocchio in the closet, before he puts Pinocchio back in the closet, he said, "One day I will look at you with pride," or something like, "You'll be a man, and I'll look at you with pride."
Yeah,
something along those lines. And after Emma denies being the savior and runs off, August goes over to Geppetto and gives him the same advice that Geppetto gave him to fix a cuckoo clock, I think.
Yeah, at the beginning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but he asks to work for Geppetto. And that's pretty much how that ends up. But the scene, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
so
at the end,
how did it start? I forget.
So here's the thing. He walks by Geppetto, he gives him advice on how to fix the clock, and props to the actor who plays August, because the entire time he is balancing having tears in his eyes without full-blown sobbing, and has enough of a restriction in his voice to tell that he's upset, but is really trying to have a normal conversation without bursting into tears. That was really good acting.
Oh, he says, "Where did you learn that?"
And he talks about his
father. Okay, I remember now.
He's like, "Well, I made a promise to my father, and by the time I got around making good on it, it was a little too late." And Geppetto said, "But you kept your promise,
Yeah. He said
still made an
August
effort."
said his father wouldn't be proud of him because of that.
Yeah. And
Geppetto said, "I would."
Well, you still made good on it, even though it might have been too late. You still kept your word about it. And if you were my son, I'd be proud of you.
Oh.
And I sobbed. I've seen this episode 3 times now, 3 or 4 times, and that still makes me tear up every time I see it.
Yeah.
Mostly because I had a shitty dad, but that my problems are negligent.
Yeah. Negligence. Hey,
yeah.
Bada bing.
So it was a good scene. It was a really good scene, and it should have ended there, but no, we had to end on a cliffhanger.
We had to end with child abduction.
Yeah, Emma kidnaps Henry and attempts to leave Storybrooke, and the episode ends before we see the fallout of that. We know how it ends, but I'm not going to talk about it until next time. But, yeah, for an episode that went out of their way to make Emma really relatable and give her a really good scene, and to end on that note, child abduction, you're really making a great case for biological parents there.
Yeah, good job, show.
I'm not even sure if I need to explain why that's bad. I don't think I do.
No.
I think not from an ethical standpoint, but from a character and show standpoint, I don't think I need to explain why that's a bad decision.
Well, and it's kind of a regression for Emma, because she was kind of living that, not criminal, but she was a bail bondsman, so that kind of on the edge of the law kind of life.
Moral ambiguity is hard.
Yeah, moral ambiguity is hard. So I feel like when August confronted her, she kind of regressed back to that. Instead of character development moving forward, committing to becoming a mom, committing to relationships with other human beings, she's like, "Oh no, I'm just going to run away, but this time I'm going to take my kid with me."
Yeah, and here's where I have a little bit of the wishy-washiness. This is my Libra-ness coming out. I'm sorry. Yeah. But on the one hand, we know that child abduction is wrong. we know this is progression of Emma's character.
Mm-hmm.
There's part of me that's like, Regina tried to frame a person, and Emma only found like the barest of evidence that could possibly lead to Regina doing it.
Mm-hmm.
And Mary Margaret's, little run-in with her, whatever.
Well, they know she broke into her house.
It's
Into the
circumstantial
apartment.
evidence.
Yeah, no, nothing that would stand up in court.
Yeah, none of it would hold up in court.
Which actually Robert Carlyle points out.
Yes.
He basically says, you're not going to win. And she's like, well, you always win against Regina. He's like, yeah, it's because I know how to pick my fights.
Yeah. And there's a good bit of this episode that doesn't have to do with Pinocchio or Emma or Henry.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, I don't care about any of it, except for at some point, Regina looks in the mirror frustrated and throws her wine glass at it, shattering it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's very much trailer bait, very well shot, and that's kind of the only thing I cared about.
And, as is par for the course for Lana Parrilla, very well acted.
Incredibly well acted.
She did a lot of subtle face acting stuff.
There was a scene with Henry that happened where, again, it's not the actor's fault. Like, the actor who plays Henry, like, they gave him really bad lines to read and they made him a psychopath.
Yeah.
That's not his fault. It's still well acted, but Lana Parrilla really outshined him. Outshined him?
Shown.
She outacted him.
Yeah.
And
Henry.
Well, I don't give
Prince.
shits about David.
Oh, okay.
And I can outact David, and I only do acting with a microphone.
I think I could outact David. I think my cat could outact David.
I think the lint roaming around in my belly button right now could outact David.
Also, this isn't a call-out for Lana Parrilla. It's more of a call-out for the writers. Who makes lasagna for 2 people?
The Italians are very frustrated with that.
I'm Italian, and I don't make lasagna for 2 people.
Yeah.
Unless you're going to, freeze half of it, but then why make lasagna? Just make Paschetti at that point.
And it's not even 2 people. It's 1.5. Henry is a child.
Yeah. He's a half man.
Yeah.
But, whatever.
Yeah,
in lasagna with Rocky Road ice cream for dessert, you're going to have diarrhea. Or, you're going to be constipated.
You're going to be hella constipated.
And I hope you're not lactose intolerant, at all.
I kind of hope David was lactose intolerant.
Me too. I was that's a lot of cheese and a lot of dairy in
so
a
much
single
dairy.
Sitting. Sorry. That's all I have.
So,
and she tries to kiss him, but who cares?
Yeah, we don't really care. The point being that there was a lot of good in this episode, but then because it's getting towards the end of the season, they do throw in all of these little things.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't care. I glossed over it. Honestly, if I wasn't paying attention as much as I was, I could have shut this off and missed the whole kidnapping thing.
Yeah.
That's how, innocuous a lot of the non-Pinocchio stuff was in this.
It was really right at the end.
It was. So, if you were like me, the first time I was watching it and, still crying, you would definitely miss it.
Why, if you changed the channel, or not even change the channel, but if you turned it down, or, the show's over, and then, Big Bang Theory or whatever the hell else was on back in 2008, 9, 10, 11, whenever this aired, if you're like, I'm going to go get a refill of my drink, or I'm going to go have a pee, you're going to miss all of that.
Mm-hmm.
And it came out of the blue, so.
Yeah.
Ooh, burp.
So, yeah, it's from a writing standpoint, I could see them doing it only to do it as a cliffhanger. That's the only way that, it makes sense. because without getting into too many spoilers, it literally gets resolved next episode in under 10 minutes.
I feel like you said, her throwing the wine glass at the mirror was like a trailer moment. I feel like this was also kind of a trailer moment.
Yeah, it definitely was trailer padding.
Yeah, it just be like,
trailer bait.
We're leaving Storybrooke or whatever. And
yeah.
You're like, okay, you just did this, so you had a shot of her saying that.
Yeah. So...
Do we have 2 episodes of this season left?
I think we either have 2 or 3. I think 2.
I think 2.
So... I'd say 4.
Yeah. The good stuff was good enough, and the bad stuff was short.
Yeah. The bad stuff wasn't even, like, bad enough.
Anything with when Henry has more than a dozen or half a dozen lines automatically goes down half a star.
Oh, that's what I wanted to say. Like, there was, like, that whole shouting match that he had with Regina where he's basically like, you're an evil queen and the curse is going to end and good will win. And, like, Lana Parrilla just sort of, like, took it, but you could tell with her facial expressions, like, she was slightly worried. And for an actress to take all of that seriously enough to put in the facial effort to look worried. God damn, Lana Parrilla, we don't deserve you.
No, we don't.
No.
This show doesn't deserve you.
No.
Or Robert.
Carlyle. Actually, you know what? No. The show does deserve Robert Carlyle. I feel like it does. It's not so much that he's... It's not so much that he deserves to be in the show, but, like, he does give it that boost.
The show deserves Robert Carlyle, or it needs him?
I feel like if
There's a difference between deserve and need.
The show is good enough to deserve either Lana Parrilla or Robert Carlyle. I don't think it deserves both.
Yeah, especially not in scenes of the two of them together. That's just too good.
Yeah, no. We, the audience, who've been putting up with the bullshit that wasn't written by Jen.
I think she writes the next episode, by the way. I think it's the next one that she writes.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah. Hope she does a good job, because I think it's the next to last. It's the penultimate episode.
The penultimate? Oh, cool.
I believe so.
I think you're correct. I can't remember if there's 21 or 22 episodes. This was episode 20.
20.
Yeah.
Apple is Red as Blood is the next episode. Yeah,
that's
no, there's
the penultimate
2 left.
episode. Hey guys, it's the penultimate episode next time.
Oh my god, that means 2 more episodes of this before we can talk about something else, right?
Well, yeah.
Oh, thank Jesus.
Yeah, you know what? I was going to save it for, like, a special occasion, and I'm going to bleep this out. No, I'm not going to bleep it out. I'm going to tell you whenever I stop recording what it's going to be. But yeah, I have an idea, and I'm going to leave it at that. Guys, make sure that if you're listening to this or listening to our old episodes that you turn off ad blockers, because again, any revenue that we get from Happy Ever After Party is going to be donated to Pittsburgh PGH. That includes ad revenue, that includes merch, and I am, again, including the link if you want to donate to them directly. I've had a couple of people reach out to me to say that they did make personal donations to them. So for people who are doing that, thank you so much. It's a wonderful organization. It's just so nice to know that there's people who care enough about the queer community, the Black queer community in Pittsburgh, and, you know, it's not all bad news.
No,
there's
not all the time.
And I'm still Sam Logsdon.
I think I'm Amanda Pierce.
I don't know who the hell you are anymore.
I think the curse made me forget my true name.
No, that's the alcohol.
No, I'm just drinking coffee today. It's too early for booze.
No, this is just me at my snark level, Sam. And you know what we say? It might not be the end.
It might not be happy.
But you are always welcome to this party. Take care.
Should I say something?